Alright, welcome back guys. We are once again doing the Python Learn With Me series. We're still going over the Python Crash Course book. We are in chapter 5 today. We are doing example 2. So example 2, we're going to continue off of this list that we did in the last example. And we're actually going to expand upon it. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to copy everything over, make a new file. We're gonna name it. Right. So we're just gonna copy this in. And what it wants us to do is expand upon our list. So what it means by, or what I mean by expand upon our list, is we're gonna use a variety of different checks. So up until now, all we've really done is check whether or not this is just equal to this. So that is called an equality check, or checking for equality, any way you want to word it. So I'm going to come out this new section saying new conditional test. So the first one that we're going to do is we're going to say we're going to use the first one. We're going to use the first one again. So time of day is equal to noon. So like how we did in the first example, we're going to have a print statement saying is the time of day noon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have this check for both equality and inequality. So I'm going to have it say, or if time of day is equal to noon, print the time of day is noon, and I'm going to put if time of day, and then this is going to check for inequality. So this little explanation before the equal sign means if something is not equal to something, it comes up as true. So if in this statement it does not equal something, it comes up as false. But in this, it's basically the opposite. You're looking for something that is a false statement, which would make it in turn true. So if the time of day is not equal to morning, print the actual time is noon. So you can have these two statements working in the same list, and when we run this code, what should happen where is this? Line 46. Oh, I forgot to include my colons, and these need to be indented anytime you have that colon. And I forgot to save. So now when we run it, it will give us the statement. So the first line that we have written is the time of day noon, the time of day is noon. And then I should probably add a second print statement asking a new question. And is the time of day morning. So when we save this, I'm actually going to take out that line so that it will get grouped together. Is the time of day noon, the time of day of noon. Is the time of day morning, the actual time is noon. So because the time of day is set to noon, and you ask two different statements. So because in this statement, I'm asking is the time of day morning, what I'm looking for is it for it to not equal morning, since the time of day is noon. So that's an example of the inequality and equality test. The next one it wants us to do is test using the lower method. So we already went over that with the LG one. So because this is all uppercase and then this one is lowercase, we would need a check for equality using tv.lower. So I'm gonna skip over that one. So the next one it wants us to do is numerical tests involving equality and inequality, greater than and less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to. So I'm gonna skip over the equality and inequality because it's gonna be the exact same thing, whether it's with numbers or it's with words. So I'm gonna come down here and say favorite number is equal to 46. And so now I'm gonna come down here and then I'm going to print is your favorite number $46. So then when I come down to my print statement, I'm gonna say, or I can skip that and say if favorite number is equal to 46, print yes, my favorite number is 46. And then we can also change this to any simple values. And then we can change this to say print or let's change this. Is your favorite number 46? If favorite number is equal to 46, then it will print yes. And then if we do an else statement, so this is saying if it is not this, then what else is it gonna do? Else favorite number is equal to 42, print on a new line, no, my favorite number is 46. So when we save this and we run this code, I forgot my colon. Oh, sorry. That's not how the else statement works. I believe this is how it would look. So if I save that and run it, it's gonna come out with, yes, my favorite number is 46. But if I change this to 42 and run it, it's gonna say, no, my favorite number is 46, because what it's looking for is this equality. So that's how you do the inequality with numbers. So if we wanted to do greater than or less than, we can also change this. So if it is, I believe this is greater than or equal to 46, it'll print this. If not, it'll print no. So when we save this and then run it, it should still say no, because 42 is not greater than. But if we come over here and say less than, and then run the code, is your favorite number 46? Yes, my favorite number is 46. So that's how you use the greater than or less than or equal to. You can also just have the greater than or less than by themselves. That'll just make it so that 46 is less of a factor. So if this number were to be 46, it would give false for either less than or greater than, because 46 is equal to 46. It is not greater than, it is not less than. So those are some things you should keep in mind. So next, it wants us to use the and the or keywords. So let's say we're going to need two different things here. So we're going to need car 0 equal to Subaru. Don't know why that ended up there. And then cars underscore 1 is equal to Mazda. We can then say if cars underscore 0 and cars underscore 1 is equal to Subaru colon print on a new line both cars are not Subarus. We can save this and run that file. I do not know why it did not pick up all of this. Oh, it's because it's not a true statement. So if they are both equal to Subaru, you should say both cars are a Subaru. Else print on a new line both cars are not a Subaru. So now when we save this and run it, it should have something to say. So it says both cars are not a Subaru, and it would be correct. So now if we were to come down and give a second if statement, if cars 0, or this time instead of using the and, cars underscore 1 is equal to Subaru. Oops. Print on a new line. One of these cars is a Subaru. I forgot the front parentheses. Else print on new line. None of these cars are a Subaru. So what this list should give us is something not too different from this list, but instead of getting the else statement for this one, we should get the first statement. So when we save this and run it, it gives us back one of these cars is a Subaru. So for this statement, what it's checking is if one of these two values is equal to Subaru. And in this statement, it is checking if both of these are equal to Subaru. So if both of them are not equal to Subaru, this AND statement will pull up a false, giving you your else. And if one of these are equal to Subaru, it will give you a true. So since it is in one of them, it is a true statement giving your if statement rather than the else statement. To test whether a statement is in a list, you can use not in. So let's come down and make a new list. So we're gonna say clothing brands equal to, we're gonna fill this list with Supreme, pretty infamous one for maybe not the right reasons. Let's say Nike. That's pretty easy. And what's one more clothing brand? Old Navy. So we're gonna come down with an if statement, and we're gonna then say brand, not Bernard, brand is equal to Gucci. Now we can check if it is not in this list, if wait 1 second, I forgot how to write this. Okay, so we're not typing in Gucci here, we're typing in brand is, so we're using an is not statement in clothing brands print this brand is not a part of the list. And so we can also change this, so we can say brand 0 and then add another one, say brand underscore roll, or I mean 1 is equal to Nike, which is in this list, and we can add in a little bit more, so we can say brand 0 and, or maybe, or brand one, we can print this, and then we can add on to this an else statement where we print one of these brands is in the list. So I'm going to change this to reflect these. And actually, now that I think about it, we have to use and brand one for this work. These brands are not part of the list, else print one of these brands is in the list. So while this does come out as actual code when we run it, so if we run this, is that not how to write it? Oh, I guess is not part of that statement. There we go. One of these brands is in the list. So while that's true, the way I worded this is not very indicative of what I'm asking it. I could have written this a little bit better. In fact, that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna rewrite this entire code to better reflect these two statements. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I should have fixed it with the wording. So I think what the issue was I had it written as a double negative. So if brand 0 and brand 1 are not in the clothing brands, print at least one of these brands are not in the clothing list. So that's going to tell you that at least one of these, it can be one, it can be both, is not in this list. So Gucci, being the issue, would move it over to the else statement. And for this, I would say if brand 0 and brand 1 are not in the clothing brand, both of these brands are on the clothing list. That's still wrong. 1 second again. After reflecting, it is right, because when we run this code, it gives us both of these brands are in the clothing list. If brand 0 and brand 1 not in clothing list, that should not be the line that it gives us. It should be giving us this line. If brand 0 and brand 1 not in clothing brands, which Nike is in clothing brands, it should be printing this statement. Am I wrong? Did I not save it? Both of these brands are on the clothing list. If brand 0 and brand 1 not in clothing brand. Oh, okay. So the issue is this and. If we change this to or and save it and then run it, it'll give us this one. So the issue with these statements, even though they were indicative of what I was asking, it was the or statement. So because both of them were not in it, this was technically true. So, I mean, this one was technically false. This one was technically true, even though I was trying to word it as the reverse. So if we use the or statement here, if brand 0 or brand 1, so if either one of these is not in the list, it'll give us back at least one of these brands not in the list. If either or of them is in the list, it'll give us this. Or if we changed this to Supreme, it would give us the else, because then both of them would be in the clothing brand. So if we save that and run it, it will give us back at least one of these clothing brands is not in the list, instead of both of these brands are on the list. I feel like that's wrong. Okay, I have no idea what the whole issue was with the statement, because the statement itself was not wrong. If brand 0 and brand 1, brand 0 or brand 1 was what was determining if it was using if or else, not whether or not it was actually true. So I have no idea what the issue was with that, but if we were to write these out in separate statements, so separate if else statements, so if brand 0, we're reading for this first one, if brand 0 is not including brands, print this. If not, print this. And if brand 1 is not in this, print this. If not, print this. So for the first one, this brand is not in the clothing list because Gucci is not. And for the second if, it's not in the clothing brand because it is, it'll run this else statement, which it does. So I do not know why I could not use the and or statements to do both of these checks at once, even though what I had written down before this was correct. It seemed like that was what was giving the both of these brands are on the clothing list or one of these brands is not. So the only solution that seems to have worked for me is just printing them all out in separate if else statements. So while there was a lot of error fixing in this last one, I hope you did find this video helpful, and if you liked it, give it a like, share it, subscribe if you want. I'll see you guys in the next one where we're going to be going over example 3.